Honourable members, the NCLP plays an incredibly important role between strengthening the link between national policy and provincial delivery. Basic education is a concurrent function, and the success of our national priorities depends on effective implementation by provinces. This House is uniquely positioned to help us ensure that provincial departments are supported, monitored, and held accountable, not only in budgeting, but in service delivery to every learner across South Africa. It is for this reason that the department, the Deputy Minister, Dr. Mhaule, and I welcome the opportunity to table the 2025-2026 budget vote. I do want to hasten to add, Honourable Chairperson, that the Deputy Minister has had a bereavement and will be joining us virtually. Honourable members, our journey in education is much like the growth of one of South Africa's powerful heritage symbols, the baobab tree. Like the baobab tree, our education system must stand firm, rooted in deeply strong foundations and built to thrive. It must nurture, develop, and protect our young people. As a baobab endures the harshest climates, our education system must too be resilient, storing up the resources to weather the storms and bloom with purpose. Today, as I reflect on the strong foundations we've laid over the past year to ensure that our education system is rooted in the purpose of serving the 13.5 million learners, I'm reminded of one of them, Sitobile Maja, who's here today as a grade 10 learner who joins us in the gallery today. His future, like that of millions of others, depends on the quality of education that we provide. It is a responsibility that I carry with humility and unwavering purpose. Almost a year ago, we stood before this House and committed to 5 key priorities. Number 1, expanding access to quality early child development. Number 2, strengthening literacy, numeracy, especially in the foundation phase. Number 3, advancing inclusive education. Number 4, enhancing teacher training and school leadership development. And number 5, improving safety and quality of school environments. These are not just abstract commitments, Honourable Member. They must be supported by evidence, rooted in the values of our Constitution and grounded in policy, budget, and delivery. And so over the past year, we've made some encouraging progress, laying the foundation for these priorities. In September 2024, I undertook a national listening and learning tour, meeting with provincial leaders, visiting over 50 schools to hear directly from principals, from teachers, from learners and parents. I have truly wrapped my arms around the sector. From the 2018 SAFE audit, I announced in April that 96% of identified pit toilets have now been eradicated. I'm happy to announce that this has now increased to 97%. But I will not rest until we achieve 100%. This is about dignity. This is about safety, especially for our most vulnerable learners. In November 2024, I convened 100 private sector leaders through Partnerships and Education Initiative, a collaborative effort that is already bearing fruit. One such example is the donation of classroom that we'll be handing over in Mpumalanga this week on Mandela Day. Ensuring that every child can read, write, and count for meaning by the age of 10 remains a core priority of this administration. Without these foundational skills, learners struggle to progress in key subjects such as maths, science, technical or vocational streams, limiting their chances of success in further education and meaningful work. The introduction of subjects like entrepreneurship, coding, and robotics is important, Honourable Members, but without literacy and numeracy, these opportunities remain too far out of reach for many learners. Improving foundational learning is therefore at the heart of the strategy to ensure that more learners progress through our system, exit with quality results, and are better placed to study further, start and sustain successful businesses, or enter the job market. Informed by the latest results of the international benchmarking studies and our very own systemic evaluation, which revealed that 8 out of 10 young children in South Africa cannot read for meaning by grade 4, We have announced last year that we are undertaking a strategic reorientation of the system so that our basic education system is geared towards improving the quality of foundational learning. Our strategy places strong emphasis on expanding quality ECD and strengthening foundational literacy and numeracy. In February 2025, we hosted the Banapele Leadership Summit, where stakeholders affirmed their commitment to the 2030 ECD strategy. We are also intensifying the mass registration drive to bring more ECD programs, particularly in underserved areas, under the care and the oversight of the DBE and provinces. We have set ourselves a bold target to register 10,000 ECD centers in the current financial year. Sizimisela uqinisekisa ukuba wonke umntana weli ufumana ithuba lemfundo esemgangathweni besebancinci. Sayazi ukuba abantwana xa befundiswa nekudlala kwiminyaka yabo apho bana 0 to 4 baya bagqwese esikolweni kwiminyaka eye ilandela. Another step we've taken is to expand access to quality ECD, is to prioritize the work that we are doing on the Children's Amendment Bill, which will be introduced to Parliament in the current financial year. This bill aims to create more of an enabling regulatory framework for ECD to ensure greater inclusion of ECD sites and the oversight of our support systems of government. The department has also laid the foundations required to support quality teaching and learning in our ECD centers in two ways. One, we've developed a learning and teaching support materials to assist ECD practitioners to effectively implement our strategy, which is the National Curriculum Framework. Number two, we're also developing a human resource development strategy just for ECD to guide the professionalization of the sector, including training pathways and continuous professional development and qualification for ECD practitioners. To support learning and quality learning in the foundation phase, the department continues to roll out mother tongue-based bilingual education program, training teachers in bilingual methods and providing quality support materials. Abaphandi nochwepheshe bezemfundo kumhlaba wonke bayavumelana ukuba xa abantwana befundiswa ngolwimi lwabo lasekhaya bayakhawuleza bazifunde kwamsinya izifundo ekuye kuthiwe zinzima ezifana nezobalo nenzululwazi. Phofu kuwo onke amazwe afumileyo abantwana bafunda ngamalwimi abo nalapha abantwana bafunda ngamalwimi abo nalapha eMzantsi Afrika sifuna ukwenza njalo. The Funza Lushaka Bursary Program has been aligned to prioritize foundation phase teaching development efforts that are guided by our focus on literacy and on numeracy. We've also begun reviewing the post-provisioning norms to improve the post-distribution and help provinces manage budget pressures. In addition, the National Catalogue for Grade 1s to 3 is being updated to ensure that learners receive high-quality curriculum-aligned materials. Honourable members, we anticipate that this new national catalogue will be in place by 2026 for procurement for the 2027 school year. Honourable members, quality teaching is a greater enabler of quality learning outcomes. The department is therefore auditing all training and professional development offerings available to our educators to determine how these can be best augmented and aligned to support teaching of literacy and numeracy, effective school management, and the professional management of our schools. To support the expansion of access to quality inclusive education, we've increased allocations for assistive devices and strengthened the coordination between schools, districts, and health services. Good progress has also been made in reviewing the White Paper 6 on inclusive education. This work will shape how the sector continues to build an inclusive education system that accommodates diverse learning needs. Honourable members, while the progress is made has been significant, there's still much more work that needs to be done to ensure that all our special schools and our ordinary schools are fully inclusive spaces for learners. Malunga NCOP sayazi ukuba asikabiphi eqinisekiseni into yobana abantwana abakhubazekileyo bayalifumana ithuba lokufunda as enshrined in our constitution. Yiyo loo nto ke sifuna ukunyusa isantya salo msebenzi. We will continue to take positive steps to support our educators and schools to meet our education needs of our learners. In line with our commitment to improving school safety and quality, we continue to assist provinces with infrastructure planning, development, and maintenance, and we are reviewing the public school infrastructure regulations to strengthen oversight and enforcement. The review scheduled for completion in this financial year will include public and stakeholder input. We have finalized and signed the new National School Safety Protocol with the South African Police Service, a landmark step, in our view, in bringing SAPS and the department in closer cooperation. We have also initiated a development of disaster management guidelines to assist our schools. This is especially important in light of the Mthatha natural disasters, where we sadly lost learners, honorable members, and hundreds of schools were damaged. We are reviewing the models used by provinces to implement the National School Nutrition Program to improve efficiency, financial management, and accountability in how the program is implemented. Furthermore, we've actively supported the sector in implementing the Bela Act, which came into effect on the 24th of December 2024. This support has included training of provincial and district officials, the development of interim guidelines, the development of quite a suite of draft regulations for further support and implementations. The first two regulations, which are focused on admissions and capacity, will be published in the coming weeks for public comment. For further regulations will follow. This reflects our commitment to a legal and policy framework that is responsive and fit for purpose. These broader efforts signal a broader shift towards more responsive, accountable leadership and a system that is grounded in purpose and growth. Even as we strengthen the foundations of our basic education system, we cannot ignore the storm clouds that are gathering over the sector, many of them fiscal in nature. The reality is that our sector is operating under significant financial strain, particularly at a provincial level, where service delivery mostly occurs. In the past year, we've witnessed real and harmful effects of decades of fiscal ill-discipline that prioritized the bailing out of SOEs over investing in education and the future of our country. This has now led to unfilled posts due to compensation ceilings, persistent infrastructure backlogs, interruptions in nutrition, transport, and safety programs, and in some provinces, non-payment of school allocations. These are not just technical failures. They are the threat to the right to education. Following the recent meeting with the 9 MSCs, we have discussed and decided that provinces must submit credible financial recovery plans to be reviewed in July, addressing vacant posts, delivery breakdowns, ghost employees, and compliance with funding norms. MECs and the heads of departments must also provide written updates on immediate stabilization actions to be reviewed jointly with the National Treasury. Provinces have been directed to ring-fence spending on teaching and learning, infrastructure, learner transport. In this climate, there's no space for vanity projects or unaccountable spending. We will activate oversight tools that are provided under the National Education Policy Act, and where necessary, we will escalate underperformance through intergovernmental channels in this Parliament. Accountability, honourable members, is a non-negotiable. Honourable members, in addition to the pressures I've outlined, our sector is in desperate need for additional funding to support the rollout of compulsory grade R as required by the Bela Act. The sector was not able to secure additional funding from Treasury for this important undertaking, and so this has meant that our provinces have had to fund this within their allocated budgets. We will continue to work closely with the Minister of Finance to ensure that additional funding can be secured so that all children are able to access quality grade R education. As a sector, we also need to take an honest look at how to strengthen public trust in our schooling system, taking into account the growth of our independent schools and notable increases in home education registrations. I am activating an advisory body, the National Education and Training Council, in the coming weeks to advise me on a range of matters that are relevant here. This advisory body will review the resourcing model for all public schools, explore ways to reduce the administrative burden on teachers, and consider whether progression and promotion requirements remain fit for purpose. This is what it means to weather the storm. Not to be immobilized by constraint, but to respond with discipline, clarity, agility, and purpose. The education of our children must be protected at every turn. In 2025-2026, the budget is, however, a reminder that we remain committed to a growing sector that towards the light has targeted investments designed to strengthen core programs, close historical gaps, and unlock the full potential of every learner. This year, the DBE has allocated a total budget of 35 billion rand, reflecting an increase of over 8% from the previous year. These additional resources are concentrated where they will have the greatest impact, aligned with our national 5 key priorities. Investing in the early years will yield the greatest returns. ECD conditional grant therefore increases from over 1.7 billion rand, supporting provincial planning, workforce development, and quality assurance systems. Over 230 million rand has been allocated to the ECD nutrition pilot, ensuring that learners in this critical phase receive daily meals, especially in rural and under-resourced areas. 162 million rand has been set aside for ECD infrastructure, focusing on the upgrading, the formalization of centers, especially in our poorer communities. Our goal is clear. Every child must enter grade 1 ready to learn, cognitively ready, and emotionally and physically ready. The strategic reorientation of the sector to foundational learning is at the heart of this administration's education reform agenda. It is born out of commitment to ensure that every child can read for meaning and calculate with confidence by the time they turn age 10. The Curriculum Policy Support and Monitoring Program therefore receives 4.6 billion, an increase of 14%. The Workbook Program is funded over 1.2 billion rand, ensuring that the provision of quality materials from grade R to grade 9 is provided for, which includes Braille versions. We are increasing our efforts to support learners whose home language differs from the one that they are taught in, and so therefore a further 57 million rand is allocated over the medium term to mother tongue-based bilingual education. Our message is simple. Reading is non-negotiable, and the foundation phase is where the battle for equity and excellence must be won. We are committed to building a system that recognizes diversity, that removes barriers of learning, and make sure that our learners with diverse education needs are part of our national education vision, but not just marginal to it. Provincial spending is also being closely monitored to ensure that assistive devices, transport for learners with disabilities, and other teaching aids are budgeted for. No reform, honorable members, can succeed without empowered teachers, and that's why this budget increases investment both in initial teacher education and ongoing professional development. This is allocated 1.8 billion rand, and these funds will support content-specific in-service training. The Funza Lushaka bursary scheme will support just over 9,000 students in the financial year, focusing on maths, science, and foundational phase. The teacher is the most single important school factor influencing learner outcomes, and so we must continue to professionalize and support this workforce. Honorable members, children cannot learn if they do not feel safe, and therefore the education infrastructure grant increases to 15.3 billion rand, which includes targeted top-ups and making sure that we're supporting infrastructure in our provinces. The school nutrition program is funded at 10 billion rand and is feeding over 9.6 million learners every single day. This budget is grounded in our constitutional duty and the belief that education is the most powerful lever for transformation. Indeed, the system is like a boab tree. And so I want to thank the Deputy Minister, our officials, including the Director General, our public entities who are here, my provincial colleagues, educators, and various stakeholders, and most importantly, the learners of South Africa. Your resilience is truly remarkable. I therefore call upon members of this House to support this budget, not out of party affiliation, but in the name of the people that we serve. This is a budget for the future of our country. Diabulela.
DA at Work, rescuing South Africa.